Back on the Win Big Sports Betting Podcast. Gabriel Schrei here. Thank you for tuning in. We appreciate your support. Wherever you may be listening from, you can find up-to-the-minute highlights, rumors, and news at WBSNSports.com. Be sure to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at WBSN Sports. A special edition this week, of course. You know what it is already. It's March Madness here from the Win Big Sports Betting Podcast. We'll have both the men's and the women's side of this tournament, talk about who's made it to this titular moment and who we think is going to break through into the championship round. All here today on Win Big Sports Talk and Sports Betting. We'll start with the women's side. 4 thrilling rounds. The last team standing are number 1 seed South Carolina and Virginia Tech, number 2 seed Iowa, and number 3 seed LSU. South Carolina, coached by Dawn Staley, is seeking its second consecutive and third national championship overall. They're currently riding a 42-game winning streak. 42 games dating back to last year's NCAA tournament. On the other hand, Virginia Tech, coached by Kenny Brooks, Iowa, coached by Lisa Bludler, and LSU, coached by Kim Mulkey, are seeking their first title. It's worth noting that Mulkey coached Baylor to 3 national championships before joining the LSU program. Of the 4 teams, LSU has the most experience in the Final Four with 6 appearances, but this is their first since way back in 2008. South Carolina is playing in its 5th Final Four, all since 2015. Iowa is making its 2nd Final Four appearance, the first since 1993. Virginia Tech, its first time ever in the Final Four, having advanced to their first one. The Final Four taking place today at the American Airlines Center in Dallas. Stay tuned for more updates and analysis as we gear up for this one. We'll get started with our first matchup in this tournament. It's a good one, Virginia Tech and LSU. First, let's take a look at where you can watch this game, how you can tune in and stay up to date. ESPN and ESPNU are broadcasting both games with Ryan Rocco and Rebecca Lobo. Ryan on the play-by-play. Rebecca is the analyst, and Holly Rowe will be down on the sideline along with Andrea Carter. Going to be a good one there. Number 1, Virginia Tech. Number 3, LSU, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, watching on ESPN. The Lady Tigers have been a top 5 team in offensive and defensive efficiency this season. They are 4th with an offensive rating of 111 and a defensive rating of 77. A simple system rating of 34.77. LSU 2nd in the country in average point differential and strength of schedule. Beyond all the numbers and metrics, will Virginia Tech be able to outmuscle Reese in the paint? Only Kitley can answer this, but I don't think so. Reese and the Lady Tigers look destined for the title game. The Hokies have played well in March. That said, Reese will be too much to handle in this one, so consider backing LSU and the Tigers to win and cover, to punch their ticket to the NCAA Women's National Championship. That's where I'm leaning. I'd love to hear what you think and why. Second matchup, you can also watch this one. Same broadcast crew, also on ESPN and ESPNU. Watch it at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's number 1, South Carolina, and number 2, Iowa. Okay, I'm a little excited to share this one with you. So I'm from the Midwest. I'm from Southeast Michigan. Zia Cook, the electric point guard, is from Toledo, Ohio, so I used to cover her when she played in high school, and I always knew she was going to be so special, but I never expected this. She has been unbelievable in South Carolina, perhaps the greatest women's basketball team in the history of college basketball. Overall, in 2022-2023, the Gamecocks are first in ORT. They are second in defensive rating. Additionally, the women's squad at South Carolina has a simple rating system of 44.91. That's the best mark in college basketball. There isn't another defense that's as good as the Gamecocks. Iowa can score, but when somebody other than Clark has to make a shot, it's going to be difficult. She'll be working to the max against South Carolina. There won't be much time for her to take a break on the bench. However, when Iowa does go to the bench, this is when South Carolina can really apply a stranglehold. 11.5 points is still a lot of points to cover against the Hawkeyes. Dawn Staley's team has conceded an impressive 50 points per game. That's good for first in women's college basketball. They'll have a strategy for Clark and likely execute it to perfection tonight. Slowing her down is easier said than done. However, South Carolina is one of the only teams that has the talent to do it. Expect the Gamecocks to march on and preserve their perfect record in the Final Four against Iowa. My prediction, going to be a final score of 83-67. Gamecocks are going to the title game. How could you not pick them? They've been amazing all season long. Zia Cook, South Carolina. All right, we'll move to the men's side of the bracket now. This is what I'm seeing over here. First of all, let's talk about these two matchups. Number 5, San Diego State versus number 9, Florida Atlantic. That's a 6 p.m. tip. You can watch it tomorrow, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on CBS. Then number 4, UConn, and number 5, Miami. That's an 8:45 tip. That's at least what they're predicting. That'll also be on CBS. You can watch them both there. And, of course, the championship game will be at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on CBS on Monday, April 3rd, this coming Monday. So very good matchups here as well. The Final Four are going to start tomorrow. It's going to be in Energy Stadium in Houston, Texas. Let's talk about our first matchup. San Diego State, Florida Atlantic. Both teams have been exceptionally fantastic in this tournament, and the spread is near even. So who's going to come out on top? Well, let's talk about the fundamentals of this matchup. They're pretty fascinating, especially considering how the Owls will be able to attack the Aztec defenders. Some of the comments on TV during San Diego State's Sweet 16 upset of Alabama noted the Tide shooters were missing open three-pointers, as if trying to justify three-point defense is mere chance. But it's not, especially in the case of the Aztecs. They're very good defensively. They play off shooters, and they're consistently off target, daring them to shoot. Over the past 5 games, SDSU has limited opponents to 22 of 118 from beyond the arc, barely 18%, even better than the season-long 27%, which ranks 3rd nationally defensively. FAU, on the other hand, attacks differently using constant ball screens and high pick-and-rolls involving rugged 7'1" Golden to force constant defensive switches that eventually pull defenders away from their normal assignments. FAU can spread the floor and defenses out of their normal configuration, as everyone except Golden can also shoot the three. To combat this, opponents can either use a zone or fight over the top and above the screens, which no team in the nation does better than the Aztecs. Meanwhile, thanks to transfers Darian Trammell and Micah Parrish, Brian Dutcher can usually find a hot hand or two amongst his backcourt weapons, including star and former Cal transfer Matt Bradley. SDSU is a bit more reliable from the perimeter than in recent years, and the Aztecs, they can also go cold, and the deep shooting background of Energy Stadium could wreak havoc with depth perception. So the initial thought here is that this will be no shootout, with extended possessions, working down the shot clock, and clearing the low 130s total might be a chore. In the end, we predict the winner will be San Diego State and the Aztecs, who have been consistently performing well and have the tools to combat FAU's unique attacking style. It'll be interesting to see if they can pull it off. I think they can. That's the direction I'm leaning. The next game right afterwards, same venue, also on CBS. It's number 4, UConn, number 5, Miami, and the Hurricanes. The Huskies have been quick to rattle their opponents and then go for the kill, as we saw in the first half of the Sweet 16 against Arkansas and the second half against Gonzaga in the Elite Eight. They have a 4-out offense that spreads the floor with shooters around their 6'9" destroyer, Adama Sanogo, in the post, or 7'2", Donovan Clingan. And this has led to their impressive performance so far, scoring 85 points per game in the 2 blowouts last weekend in the West Regionals at Las Vegas. But Miami has impressed more in the dance simply because they've been seriously challenged and have responded in the clutch. They outscored Drake 16-1 down the stretch to pull an opening round win out of the fire. They also roared back from down 14 in the second half to beat Texas on Sunday. So, they're looking good. They were on full display in Kansas City. Head coach got his guards to take Texas counterparts to the basket where their absence, the big man as a burly rim protector, could be exploited. This resulted in nearly 60% field goal shooting and a stinging rebuke to the analytics crowd that would cringe at Miami only attempting 8 triples, and they only made 2. Time and time again, Wong and Miller attacked the paint, and eventually the Horns wilted, helped by more timely buckets from K-State transferred guard Pack and some deft free throw shooting. They went 28 of 32 from the line. And the Huskies have looked overwhelming, but they're hardly unbeatable as they lost 8 times this season. Note that all 4 games involving these teams last week landed well on the over side, so the early totals in the upper 140s may not be high enough. In conclusion, I think Miami and the Hurricanes are going to be the winners of this one. They'll punch their ticket to the national championship. I'm excited to see how it turns out, and all the action is going to be fantastic. Again, those games on CBS, the Women's Championship on ESPN and ESPNU. Thank you for tuning in for another edition of the Win Big Sports Betting and Sports Talk podcast. Please reach out to our contact page at WBSNSports.com to sponsor the podcast. You can find up-to-the-minute news, highlights, sports rumors, and more at WBSNSports.com, and follow us at WBSN Sports on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Today's edition of the podcast brought to you by Shry Media. Your name can be here. Thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you next time.